Hey everybody, it's Tait here from Nanjing Marketing Group, and I have Lawrence here with me today, and we're going to be talking about the China marketing news of the week. The topics we're going to cover this week are, number one, what Spring Festival is going to be like this year, because it's going to be a bit different because of COVID. The death of a 22-year-old Pinduoduo employee. Jack Ma disappearing. Trump blocking transactions on Alipay and WeChat Pay, or trying to. And a little bit of notes from our new guide to Weibo marketing.
Great.
Okay, let's check out this first one here, Lawrence. Now, I know that you wanted to talk a bit about COVID-19 too. So the question that I had on my mind is, what is it going to be like for Spring Festival this year? Because I've been reading up on it, and what it seems like is that, a lot of people are going to be traveling, maybe a bit less than usual, and it's going to be a bit spread out. Now, I looked up the data for how many people normally travel on Spring Festival, and what I saw is that in 2018 and in 2019, there was just a little bit under 3 billion trips during Spring Festival. So that's like every person traveling once somewhere and coming back, right?
Yes, that's basically correct.
That's over a 40-day period, which is longer than just the Spring Festival. Spring Festival is what? It's the February 11th to 17th?
Yeah, that's official holiday, but that is not actually the spring travel starting. I think the Spring Festival traveling starts on 28th of January to this, I think it's the 21st of February. That's nearly a month.
Okay. Well, it looks like some people this year might not be traveling during the main period. Like, they might not be taking the same regular time off of work. They might take it a week after or a week before. At least this is what I'm seeing in the news, but I don't know if that's actually the case. Do you think that people are going to just travel at the normal time that they get off of work, or are they going to change when they get off work?
I think this year, particularly recently, the COVID-19 is coming back to a few cities like Beijing, Dalian, and maybe the province of Dongbei. So there is a phenomenon that people have to think about the quarantine before they're traveling. There will be compulsory 14 days of quarantine. So if you're actually planning to go home, you probably have to stay at a hotel for 14 days. And what is the point to traveling to your hometown and not going back to your home, but staying in a hotel for 14 days? So
okay, you're saying that a lot of people that travel within China are still going to have to do that 14-day quarantine?
No, only a few areas. If you come from a few dangerous areas, the areas who are currently have a lot of COVID cases, you probably need to show your the code, the QR code you have. And for example, currently we're in Nanjing, but if you're coming from Beijing, from a dangerous area where has probably several COVID-19 cases, you probably have possibility to be quarantined in a hotel for probably 14 days. That's not every citizen in Beijing, but some area, like a suburb.
Yeah, okay. And what's going on with the vaccine situation? You wanted to share something about that too, right?
Yes, I think vaccine is actually nearly ready. I wouldn't say nearly ready. It's ready for everyone. Back to, I would say, beginning of November, we did a newsletter and we tell our audience that the newsletter is coming. But for now, it's really coming. I heard a few of my friends in different companies, they are open for registrations. So if you wanted to be the first one, you can go ahead, and everything is free. Everything is free.
Okay, so most people that want to be able to get a vaccine they're going to be able to get it right away, even if they're not healthcare workers or anything? That seems really fast.
I think for the health workers, they have already been injected with the vaccine because they are the front workers. When the vaccine was ready in the first time, I think they already have the chance to get injected. But for now, it's more like for nearly every citizen. So it's open for registering. So you simply check where is the nearest location you can get your vaccine, your hospital. Then probably you will be the lucky one to get the vaccine in the first hand.
Right. Okay. And then all of the vaccines have those little codes on them that can be scanned so that they know who got which vaccine, right? And basically a person is going to be able to prove if they got the vaccine or not.
Yes. You know that in China we have the ID we call 身份证. So that's equivalent to the driver license in Western countries. So each person have to have their 身份证 to the hospital and fill the form and with your phone number. So each vaccine has a tracker ID on them. So before you inject it, they will scan the code and scan it to you. So your 身份证. So whenever people have to check if you have injected with a vaccine or not, simply check your ID. We'll have the information on whether you have already injected or you may not.
Right. Okay. So maybe next year's Spring Festival, people might need this attached to their ID to be able to travel around. Maybe.
Yes, I think for now, even if you go to a highway station, some place or patrol, they would simply check your ID. They'll ask your ID to scan to a machine, and they will say where you're traveling to. They will say all those kind of information. I think simply we just add a new symbol or new picture in there, say if you have been injected or not. I don't think that's a very difficult thing for technology department. I would say probably by the next Spring Festival traveling, I would say like 90% of Chinese should have already injected with COVID-19.
Yeah, right. Okay, so that's for later anyways. Do you think anything else is going to be different about the Spring Festival in China this year? Like, what do you think it's going to feel like?
I feel like the government probably is trying to encouraging people staying at home for good. Although the COVID-19 is not really serious compared to some Western countries, but still, I think government is worrying about the COVID-19 is going to spread out once again, and that's just going to have a huge impact. So probably negative impact on tourism again, unlike the national holiday period. People are encouraged to stay at home, not going out.
Yeah, well, actually, the stuff that I read that came from the government, like in the major publications in China there, the main media, it seemed to kind of contradict itself, but it seemed like it wanted people to feel free to travel around if they do, but just to be careful. So in the media, they would say things like, the risk of contracting COVID is very low, but we all need to remain vigilant, right? Or it would say,
that's correct.
You can go visit your family, but you might want to consider visiting them at a different time than you usually do.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe just a bit more spread out and subdued Spring Festival in terms of visiting family this year. I guess there will be people at home.
So probably, yes, probably do it online, chat with your family, do an online video meeting, say hello to each other, avoid the infection of COVID-19. I would say if you can, probably stay at home, wear your masks.
Right. All right, let's move on to the next topic here. This one is this is a tragic situation, unfortunately, but a 22-year-old staff member of Pinduoduo died, and people were discussing why it is that she died. A lot of them online, what they're speculating is that she died because of the 996 overwork culture. And 996 is that working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week. And people think that if they were to work such a long period of time, if they work so hard for so long, then it can be very bad for their health and even cause people to die. So from time to time, we see news pieces coming up like this about a young person that worked too hard and died. But also, I think that it's just mostly just speculation, because people don't even know how she died exactly. And then we just hear that it's because of overwork. So what did you think about this one?
Actually, I was very pay attention to this news, and I believe that this young lady, she really died because of overworking.
Okay.
From the Chinese social media like Zhihu and Weibo, some of her friends, her close friends, says that she's not really working on 996. She's working on 007. So that means actually you're working for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You never rest, from 0 to 0 in 7 days. She is currently working on a project we mentioned is community group buying. So buying vegetables we mentioned before. And she handled the whole project. So she has to make a lot of emails, getting a lot of calls, updates, a lot of informations. So it's really been working very tight for her. And something weird is once this news going to the social media, the Pinduoduo, the official account, responded on Zhihu. They said something is everyone has choice to choose if you want to work harder or if you don't want to work hard. You have your own choice to probably like you want to go home at 7, you can go. It's up to your choice, but not blame to the group or blame to the society. And then after probably 10 or 15 minutes, they delayed these responses on Zhihu and said they never made any official responses. But however, Zhihu confirmed they have made such a responses and they delayed it. So I really want to discuss like whether should young people to choose working on an overload job, because an overload job definitely gonna get you high paid salary. But from my point of view, what is the point if you earn a lot of money but don't have time to spend it? Well, just for example, for this young little girl, she's only 22. Even she make 200K a year or maybe 20K a year, I don't know how much exactly she makes. But probably now you pass away. Even if you have $1 million, what's the point to have them, right?
Okay. Well, I just don't think that they are able to even increase their performance by working like that. I think it'd be very unlikely that they'd be able to just be extra creative and innovative if they're tired all the time, if they're overworked.
I think over the time, they're just doing the same thing every day, probably updating the information, updating Excel, sending out the message, checking out with different distributors. But that's just overload. I don't think they really need something creativity to do the job, but simply like a machine. They're working like a machine. They never rest. I wonder because I was in Australia before, but I don't really see that people in Australia work like in China. This is just too crazy. I mean, these high-tech companies, they have to work like 997. Like this young little girl, she's working for 007. That's just even insane.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that sounds like an exaggeration. It's not. It can't actually be 007. She needs to sleep. People need to sleep.
Yes, but that kind of she always responds email or responds a call or message at probably 5 a.m. So she always stand by, but that's just not good because you never rest.
Right. So do most of people online, people that are talking about this on Weibo and other places that you saw, do they have the same kind of opinions that you do, or not? Do some of them like this kind of work culture?
I would say no one like it, but people just saying it's up to you. No one have ever asked you to make $1 million a year. If you want to make $1 million a year, you have to work harder. This is just one point of view. But on the other hand, the people just like me. You don't work that hard because if you probably died or sick, you don't have the time to spend the money. What's the point in there then?
Sure. You
So
keep using the word hard though. You know, I had an English teacher friend in Nanjing, and he summed it up real good. What he said was, he said Chinese people don't work hard; they work long. And that's a generalization. It might not be totally true for a lot of people, but I think in general that's what the culture is in China in many instances, and it is in this 996 kind of thing too. That like it is in that culture. They're working long, but you can't work as hard if you are working for that long. You just
that's correct.
A human brain doesn't function that way. So maybe you could do something that is relatively easy and spread it over a long period of time, but you can't do your best work over a 996 kind of culture, I think.
I would say people always say they're working hard just to making them feel better when they are working a long time period of time. As you say, probably they're working very long. They're not working as hard as they can because they just couldn't. That's not the way that our brain should functioning.
Right.
But they are just trying to make themselves feel better. I've been working so hard today. I work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. I should get some rest.
Okay. That happens other places too, not just China.
Yeah.
All right, let's check out this next one here. We have 3 more to go. This is going to be kind of a shorter one, I think. Anyways, from jingdaily.com, they're wondering, where is Alibaba founder Jack Ma? Because remember, he had that IPO for Ant Group. He was going to make a whole lot of money about that. And also when the IPO was coming out, he said that the Chinese financial industry is very out of date, basically, and it needs to be revamped. It needs to be brought up to speed with the modern era. And then the Ant Group IPO was put on hold by the government. They weren't allowed to proceed with that. And then some people started noticing that they haven't seen Jack Ma in a long time. Nobody's seen him in public since October apparently. And he didn't even attend the finale of a TV show that he has. They have a TV talent show called Africa's Business Heroes. And he didn't even attend to the finale, even though he said he was going to go. So what's going on with Jack Ma? Where is he? And does this affect business? I guess these are the kind of questions that people are asking. Do you have any opinion on it?
Actually, it reminds me of another richest man in China. His name is Wang Jianling. So do you know Wanda Plaza?
Right, yeah.
He's the owner of the Wanda company. And by 2015 or 2016, that period of time, he was sort of like Jack Ma. He claimed that he's the richest man. He was. And then he said something like Jack Ma. He's trying to attack government or probably just trying to shake the authority of the government. And then after probably a few days, the government made a new policy that urged him to not going very good with his business. And then he stopped going to all the TV shows, and he's been so quiet for nearly 4 years. He never, I think, attended any TV show anymore, made any public speaking, just like Jack Ma do now.
I think. So you think Jack Ma is just taking a low profile right now?
Yes.
All right.
But I think he's in trouble as well.
I think the other people that are speculating, or what people are worried about, is that he's maybe under house arrest or something and just not allowed to go anywhere. And then he's going to have to change his opinions and his way that he talks publicly a bit, and then return back to the public sphere and be very thankful to the government.
I think in China, the government don't really like the businessman to step in with the politics. So they should always, do your business, mind your own thing. You don't come to the government and judge how government works, because that's not how the Chinese government is allowing you to do. So always remind there is barrier between the government and business. I think for Jack Ma, back to October, he mentioned that the Chinese government is not good. This kind of financial situation is not good. It's all outdated, and that probably just made the government very angry.
Right.
And then I think he probably keeping a low profile for a few months, maybe even a year, and then probably he's also think about the new strategy for Ant Group, when to probably launching a new IPO. If I were him, I would rather just keeping a low profile, not going to public, not just attracting public attention. Otherwise, if I go into any meeting or any conference, probably someone will ask you, "Oh, hey Jack Ma, how are you doing with your IPO? What's your opinion on China's financing situation?"
Yeah,
it's really hard for him then. It will be an awkward situation.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens in this one. I remember we were pretty excited about that IPO earlier because it was going to be the biggest ever. Now it's just on hold and Jack Ma is missing. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will see. That was just part of history.
Next up, Trump is still trying to block transactions on some Chinese apps. So I guess on January 5th, from this report on pandaily.com, they said that U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order to ban U.S. transactions with 8 widely used Chinese software applications, including Ant Group's Alipay and Tencent's QQ and WeChat Pay. This ban will take effect 45 days after the date of this order. So that means that the ban will take place just a little bit after Spring Festival, actually. But will it actually take effect? I don't know. I would say probably not, because I'm not a political expert, right? But he's been trying to push it through, and there's been pushback against it. He hasn't been able to get it through, and now he's not going to be even actually the president at that time. So I have a feeling this won't go through. It would not be good for. I just don't see how this could be good for American people or American businesses if WeChat Pay and Alipay are blocked or partially blocked. That would just be a really awkward situation there. I mean, the way that it'd be used domestically is some Chinese people that are in USA might use Alipay or WeChat Pay to pay for things. It might be like, say, food they're ordering from a restaurant that is in the city that they're in. You know, it's an American business, but they're still using these Chinese payment methods sometimes. Or it might be something that they're ordering from abroad or travel or anything, but it's business. It's business in USA and between USA and other places, and it's people just going about their lives and making their lives a little bit better by buying or selling things, transacting via WeChat Pay or Alipay. I think it's interesting that this kind of mirrors the other thing about Ant Group. You know, these are both financial issues in 2 different countries. And so Jack Ma is getting pushed around not only by the Chinese government, but by the U.S. government at the moment right now too.
I don't ever think that this new executive order is going to apply to the Alipay and WeChat Pay. Despite Trump is doing this again and again and again, one point is I'm using Apple product. If I'm trying to buy anything on Apple, then I have to use either Alipay or WeChat Pay. And even when I'm shopping, I'm playing the video games. If I'm using Steam or Epic Games, they still allow me to using the Alipay and WeChat Pay. So I don't really think this is going to happen. It's just no way. It's just like he's just trying to getting some attention, but he's going to leave the White House in 26. So it's just like 2 more weeks. I don't think this is going to happening.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So we're going to say this is not happening. That's our prediction.
Yeah.
Right? We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay. Last item for today. We have this new guide on Weibo marketing, and we've been working hard on updating our guides. We have our China Digital Marketing 101 section of the site where we have like probably a couple books worth of information there in blog posts, and we've been updating a lot of them. One of the things that we looked at recently was Weibo, and we wrote a new post for it. Now, I think that I'll leave a link for people that will want to go in and read this whole thing, because it's long, so I won't get into all of it. but just I'll read out part of this. I'll share some of the new changes with Weibo recently. And what's happened with Weibo is it's basically regained its position as a permanent fixture in people's daily lives with the fast spread of news and trending topics coming to their rescue during the COVID-19 pandemic. This is what I'm quoting from our blog post here. No other platform in China could keep up with that. During the pandemic and heavy lockdown, various media outlets worked on Weibo 24 hours a day, releasing a total of 2.3 million epidemic-related posts, which received 300 billion views. Wow, that's a lot of views. A lot of talk about the pandemic. They also broadcasted more than 10,000 live streams of epidemic news coverages in various regions, and the number of live viewers for these exceeded 3 billion. So really, I guess what's happening with Weibo in the past year is people were extra into the news. They wanted to stay on top of it and know what's happening down to the hour or down to the minute. So they couldn't necessarily use their normal methods of getting the news. From using these different apps, I would say Weibo is pretty much like Twitter. It's close to Twitter. And then there's news apps like Toutiao, like Jinri Toutiao. And that one,
yes, I do.
That one's really good for news, but it doesn't necessarily share the most up-to-date stuff right away. It's more like its algorithm is trying to provide me with things that are maybe recent or maybe just entertaining. And then WeChat isn't the best for getting the news right away because the accounts on WeChat have a limit on how much they can be posting. Like even the subscription accounts on WeChat, they would be able to post once per day, which isn't fast enough if you want to get the news right away. So people were going to Weibo. That's what we're seeing. I don't know. How about you, Lawrence? Do you use Weibo a lot?
No, I haven't used Weibo for a long time, but I understand why people are using Weibo. It's simply because there is a lot of accounts on Weibo from the government, also from the celebrity or the stars you like. They can get the updated news, particularly during the pandemic. If you want to check out news, even if you use like the channels you just mentioned, you have to wait, and probably you can't really follow them. But on Weibo, simply follow this official account from government. You can get the first-hand news without waiting, and probably checking some other, superstar news, checking out some rumors. They will have fun on Weibo. People like it. Or maybe even shopping on Weibo. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Weibo remains really good for marketing for consumer type products. For education, we use it a lot. We don't use it so much when we're engaged in B2B marketing. But the people that do check it tend to check it quite a bit. Like we saw that people that check it more than 3 times per day, about 25% or more people that are using Weibo check it more than 3 times per day. And then another 30-something% check it 1 or 2 times per day. And then there are also those users that are only checking it, a couple times a week or less than that. But that's not the majority of people and not usually who we're marketing to. Usually when we're using Weibo for marketing purposes, we're thinking about those people that are on it quite frequently and are on top of the hot topics and more engaged in the conversation. All right, so I think we can just end it here, and I'll leave a link to all these sources that we have, and I'll leave a link to the Weibo thing and the China Digital Marketing 101. For anybody that's listening, thanks for listening. Feel free to leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, what you like or don't like, and we'll kind of adapt to that and keep trying to make things a little bit better for you as we go forward. Thanks. See you later.
Yes, see you. Bye-bye.